Okay, my name is Brad King. My friend KT and I decided that we were going to spend a weekend and challenge ourselves to write 10,000 words. And at the end of the weekend, we would choose an excerpt and we would read a small part of it and record that and upload it. She had just got done watching her, and so now I'm recording mine. I actually wrote 3 different pieces, 2 essays, which are part of a year-long essay writing push that I'm giving myself, and then a blog. So my totals it wasn't one thing. I'm going to read the first part of an essay that is called "We Are Not a House Divided." Baseball has always been more than just a game in my family. Baseball was a way of life. My first memory was playing ball in the backyard with my father after he got home from work. He purchased one of those baseball starter kits for children, an oversized wiffle ball and giant red plastic bats with an oversized barrel. Almost as soon as he'd get home, he'd change out of his suit, throw on his jeans, and we'd amble outside. We had a small yard, maybe less than a quarter acre. It was the perfect size for a young kid playing with his father. And play we would for what seemed like hours now, but was likely far shorter than that. What I most remember about those evenings was the large red fence that separated our yard from our neighbors. Whenever I'd crush one of those balls over that fence, I felt like a major league player. Of course, I can't recall any particular day at this point in my life. I've pressed down all of those days and all of those memories into a series of snapshots that long ago lost their order. I don't even know how accurate the pictures are anymore. I couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 years old. I don't know why I have those memories so deeply embedded within me. I only know that they happened and they imprinted on me, and I carry that with me through the years. I tell you that because when I tell people that baseball was a way of life in my house, they nod, but I wonder if they understand. Baseball wasn't a game. It was the way my father and I communicated with each other throughout the years. When we couldn't find the words to speak with each other, and we couldn't find the space to be with each other, we always had baseball. When I was a teenager, we'd spent countless hours playing catch. We'd long ago left that small house in Carmel, Indiana, and moved into a home with a sprawling yard in Loveland, Ohio, a small suburb outside of Cincinnati. And with that, our games got bigger. We lived in the country, which meant our yard ran right up against our neighbors' yards. Half acre upon half acre upon half acre, stretching 10 houses down and 2 houses wide. Perfect for baseball. We improvised a backstop using 2 large spruce trees that sat near the property line. We measured 60 feet and 6 inches, the proper distance from the pitcher's mound to home plate, and my father would throw at the center of one of those trees. We used it as our catcher so we wouldn't have to chase balls that I didn't hit. Our most treasured time was when it rained. That's when we got serious. My father bought a rubber baseball. When the rain would come, we'd hustle out to the driveway so that my dad could smash ground balls at me. My mother was incredulous that we would spend hours in the rain, but we tried telling her that this was the only way we could simulate what it was like to play on AstroTurf, which many Major League Baseball teams used back then. If that seems crazy to you, I probably can't convince you otherwise. But that 14-year-old catching those ground balls had designs on playing professionally. I needed to learn how to navigate the turf because the ball bounced differently on that surface. While dirt slows the ball and increases the likelihood of bad hops, turf catches the ball's spin and on its 3rd hop can shoot it past you. There are more baseball stories. There are always more baseball stories in my family. Baseball was the centerpiece of everything that my father and I did together. And it remains so all these years later, a bond that has only grown stronger through times. It was in those times that my father taught me what it meant to be a man. And all those hours together, he slipped in lessons that would not only guide me through life, but also give us a common language when everything else around us was burning down. As I neared my 18th birthday, our family faced issues that looked like they might break us. The family was struggling with its finances, my parents' relationship was not good, and I felt lost in the world. On this particular day, my dad and I had gone outside for batting practice. He and I weren't speaking to each other at that point, much to each other at that point. My father was a quiet man on his loudest day, and the both of us are stubborn. Whatever rift had come between us, we had decided to handle it by speaking as little as we could. And so we went out to the spruce tree, me with my anger and he with his. He threw ball after ball after ball, and I swung and missed, dinked balls off to the side, and dribbled weak ground balls and pop-ups. With each swing, my anger grew. I stewed, muttering to myself. My father continued pitching, himself silent. Then we both decided we'd had enough. Did you try your best today? My father asked me, a word of encouragement trying to get me to focus not on the results, but on my effort, hoping that would be our way out. Obviously not, I said, unable to look at him. My rage climbed through my body and burnt through the back of my eyes. I was a cauldron. My father taught me that you never focus on the results because you can't control those. Focus on your effort, which is always under your control. And so my answer, which wasn't meant to provoke him, did just that. Then why are we out here, he said, his voice raised just enough that I knew that the rage was there with him. And before I could stop the words from coming out of my mouth as we turned from the backyard onto the driveway and then into the garage where we kept the equipment, I slammed down my bat. Fuck off. People don't always hear that story the way I remember it. For some, they hear the fractured relationship between the father and the son. For me, that's a story about how baseball gave us two things: time together and space to let our emotions come out.